Hi, it's me, Jodi. Welcome back to my channel. This is Tarot Talks by the Witching Half Hour or so. If you haven't liked the podcast or checked it out, please go subscribe. I've got a lot of content on there, really great stuff. Check it out. Today is our year ahead reading. Okay, we are going to look at the entire year of 2023. This is coming out a little later than I planned, but this whole year has had a really kind of slow-mo start. Mars has just gone direct, and that has helped me a lot. I'm an Aries, so I've been really slugged out for most of December and early January. So we're going to be using the Wildwood Tarot today. It's one of my favorite decks to use. I'm going to put out a card for each month of the year. We're going to do a Wheel of the Year spread for all of you out there in the Earbud Coven. Okay, I'm going to shuffle and lay some cards out, and I'll be right back. So, having a quick look at the energy of this spread, it does feel like a lot of us are going to be shifting heavy things this year. We start the year out pretty chill and pretty snuggly and cozy. Everyone's still kind of in that winter cocoon, and it feels like the energy of spring isn't even going to be apparent until into April instead of in that kind of March equinox area. So that's really interesting. I feel like the equinox in March is going to be very emotional for a lot of people. There's a lot of opportunity for emotional clearing to happen in that time. And then going forward through this summer, late summer, August into September, huge shifts, huge change. The energy is going to be really interesting, and it feels like some of us could spin into some personal chaos during that time. So take note of that. But a much easier end of the year next year as opposed to this year. Okay, so looking at each individual card and each month now. So we are in January right now, and the card you have for that is the Wheel of Fortune. So what this whole month has been, and what I know a lot of you have been feeling too, is that idea of wrapping up loose ends, of really finishing off work that you thought might have been done. A lot of transformative energy has come up, and all through January, there has been this tying off of loose ends. Timing and things have been outside of your control. That's the idea behind that Wheel of Fortune. You are not in control of the timing, and please, babies, just work on the lesson that comes up. I know you think you know what you should be doing. I know you think you feel like you should be working on this area of your life, but where the fire is, that's what needs your attention. Even if you feel like that area of your life has been dealt with, there's still something left in that cycle. There's still something to be tied off that needs to really turn. So there's work there. Going into February, that's when you're going to start seeing the action and the movement from all the work you've been laying into play. There's a shift, a movement, something big that's going to be happening in February. The Seven of Bows is always about swiftness. Okay, that's our bows in this deck. That is our wands, right? And that is a fire element, and it's very, very swift. So all that kind of slogging we've been doing through those months of November, December, January, when so many of us have been low energy, and looking at our relationship to anger and passion, looking at the themes of Mars being retrograde and Mercury being retrograde, and starting this whole year in retrograde. Boom, February is the shift of that. Everything starts getting active again. Everything starts to move again. Things that it feels like, it's kind of like you've been pushing this rock for a while, and then suddenly, oof, it gives. That's the energy of February. Following that, you have that Queen of Cups in March. So that's the emotion that's coming up. A lot is going to be happening in the equinox. When I look at this card, what really sticks out for me is how cool and cold the waters look. When we look at the salmon in the card, the Queen of Vessels is a salmon. So the abundance of salmon. I'm from the Pacific Northwest, so salmon is a real big deal out here. We have salmon runs in the winter. The salmon run and they spawn, and it's like intense how much fish are in our rivers and our creeks. So it's a big symbol of abundance. Salmon is a lifeline for the whole ecosystem here. The bears depend on it, the herons depend on it, even like the trees depend on those rotting salmon corpses that the raccoons drag around. So salmon is about the core of the ecosystem. So now, beautiful Queen of Water, that divine feminine that lives inside of you, that emotional piece of deep healing and nurturing, that's what's going to be highlighted in March. Now, this is going to be really different for each one of you, but it's going to be a time to go internal and look at what sustained you. What is the theme for you? And remember, March 21st is the equinox. So there's always lessons in March around balance. So when we're looking at our emotions and the core of our emotional ecosystem, what aspect of it is going to need balance? That's going to be your work in March. So prepare for the tears to flow. It's okay. We can cleanse from the inside, right? Big stuff. This is going to be really important to do your self-nurturing work during spring, especially as the world wakes up and we want to get back out of our houses. It's been a heavy winter, so we're going to want to overextend ourselves. Get out there, but don't burn the candle at both ends. Balance will come up and slap you in the face if you allow yourself to be overextended. Lots of nurturing, lots of reflection, lots of work with water. Going forward, we're going to talk about the projects you're working on, okay? Because I feel like that's what's being highlighted in April and going through to the summer months, all right? So March is that reflection, bringing balance. And now April, May, and June, this area of the reading, it's really talking about outside landscapes, not our interior landscapes. It's talking about our outside landscapes. So in the month of April, we have got this beautiful Knight of Bows. And I feel like I want to read him in conjunction with the card in May. So we've got the Knight of Bows and the Six of Bows. We've got that fiery energy of a knight. The knights in the tarot really move, okay? They're a very active card and they bring about change. So know that projects you've been thinking about, whatever's going on at work, whatever's going on in your career, because we're in the element of fire, this is going to be a time of accelerated action. If there's opportunities you've been watching, this is the time to act on them. If there's a shift in career into more authority, this is the time to do it. Somewhere between April and May, this energy is really going to support those kinds of changes. You've got this beautiful fox, the wise fox knows when to act, and you've got that fiery energy there. Plus you've got the abundance of the Six of Bows, right? Everything just kind of coming together. So really pay attention. Use your good, quick-witted fox sight to tune into when the opportunities are coming. You're going to start hearing about them, I feel, in April, and then maybe the action happens in May. But there's going to be a lot of change in the elements outside of your personal, okay? So whatever projects you have going on, this is the time to focus on those. And you'll see that things level out again as we move into June. We've got the Green Man. This is the equivalent of the Emperor in this deck. And the message here is to integrate the lessons from the leveling up you just did. Right? You're going to be stepping into your power. You're going to be really owning and personifying that power, right? The green man is the emperor card. So he's got a level head. He knows how to wield power. He knows how to delegate. He knows how to get things done. He doesn't allow his emotions to cloud his logical thinking. So these are the places and the things you're going to be stepping into after having taken that direct action in your business, in your projects, in your career. So you are going to step into that divine masculine power of the green man. That's where you're going to be leveling up to, really owning your authority and owning your power. And it's going to be needed because we want to take the time to integrate those lessons, because the second half of the year is going to be a little bit heavy. So empowerment and knowing your power and knowing your strengths and believing you have the divine right to wield your power is going to be a pivotal piece of getting through the next half of the year. Now, for each of you, this is going to be different. And this next half is going to hit differently for everyone. I feel like through the summer, many of you are just going to be chill. You're just going to be enjoying things. And for some of you, the whisperings of deep self-work is going to start. And for some of you, there's going to be a drastic change. So the card we have coming up in July that is kind of coloring the next 6 cards and the way we move through the back half of the year and is affecting the timing on this is the Guardian card. This is the 15th card of the tarot, and it is typically called the Tower. Now, personally, I find Tower years and Tower cards much more challenging than even a Death card, right? The Death card talks about transformation, cycles, letting go, and growth. The Tower card, and in this case, the Guardian card, talks about the root core issue and tearing it all down to start anew. So many of you in the last half of the year are going to be going through a dark night of the soul. Does this mean your life is going to implode? No. Okay. Does this mean you will be emotional and there will be deep lessons and there will be hardship? Yeah, it does. It does. I'm not going to lie to you. That's what the cards say. And I'm not going to fluffy bunny it. Tower cards are about major shifts in our life. Sometimes it is something positive, like we get offered a job far away, and that's really great, but we leave behind our community. Sometimes it is an unforeseen change. The thing about the Tower card is that it is a shift. It is a sudden shift in life that is going to ask you to dig deep, go to the foundations of some of the problems and dig them out at the root. The way this card is symbolizing that is by bringing the bones, right? Right in the marrow of the problem is where the work needs to be done. And because we have such a beautiful, transformative, powerful card sitting at the beginning of the second half of the year here, I know that the rest of the cards and the way they fall and the way we move through them is going to be dependent on how quickly or how slowly we move through our Guardian card. So right beside the Guardian card, we have the Queen of Bows. We've got this beautiful hair. So let's unpack that a bit. So the Queen of Bows, the Queen of Wands, is an incredibly resourceful woman of the tarot. This archetypal energy of the divine feminine is a woman who is fully in control of things. She has mastered her world. She has mastered passion, and she is a formidable force in the tarot. So know that you have everything within you that you need to get through this Tower card. You are not facing it as a page or a knight. You are facing it as a sovereign ruler. The reason it's coming through as a divine feminine is because we want that holistic, heart-centered view as we move through this lesson. If we had a king in this place, we'd be doing more of the mental work, but this is heart-centered work. That's why we have a divine feminine here. Also know, as you go through this, you have the page of arrows. So lots of messages coming in. So this card is really reading through this shift as information. So it's going to be really important for you to pay attention before we get here to what your feed looks like on your phone, because it's going to be important to monitor what kind of information you get coming in through all the ways we get information these days during the second half of the year. You're going to be working on a lot of stuff. So curate your feed. Get the puppies and the ducks waddling through your TikTok. Really make sure you've got positive affirmations coming in. Make sure that you have taken a holiday from some of the more toxic, ranty people that you love and keep on your feed. Let the information coming be like the sparrow. Let them be wings of hope and cheerful noise in the landscape of winter. Summer and into fall, we're working on that tower card. Now we're going to look at winter. Now this is going to fall differently. If you move through your tower very quickly, you may start into these phases before September. If you are slogging through and taking your tower card one spoonful at a time, these may fall closer to December, January, and even spread into the February of next year, right? This is what happens when you read for a beautiful collective on the energies that are around us. Sometimes my timing's a bit loose. But looking at what we have, one of the things we want to be warned about with this tower card that's coming up in the end of the year is this 9 of arrows. Let me talk about the 9 of arrows or the 9 of swords. One of my favorite lesson cards. Now, this is always an interesting card. In this one, you will see that we have a beautiful maiden and she is holding a weapon and she's not using it. So she's not using her tool. And there are arrows coming all around her. And these cards always come in, these 9s of arrows and 9s of swords, they come in with this huge feeling of depression and anxiety and victimization. And what's so funny and at the root of this card and its lesson is to step into your power. That the feeling of being a victim is one that you are perpetuating when you get this card. So this card is a warning. No matter how big your tower is, no matter how crazy the work is you are asked to do this year, do not allow yourself to stay in the role of victim. So look, she has a bow. She's refusing to use it. She's not helpless. She's armed. Are any of the arrows hitting her? No. Does she have a wound? No. She feels as though she is constantly under attack and being wounded by everything in her midst. But it's her inaction and her inaction and her refusal to see what is actually happening that is keeping her stuck. None of those arrows are even near her. She could have thrown them all up, missing putting them in properly for all we know. So know that the lesson in this card is about to step into your power, to not get into that dark viper's nest in your mind and self-defeating thoughts, but to stay in your power. So once we get through that 9 of arrows, the next card we get into gives us reprieve. We are stepping into the Empress card, the green woman, the counterpart of where we ended our last lesson. So we were looking at the divine masculine, stepping into our power, owning our authority. And now we're going into the divine feminine, authority, right? We are balancing those. So through the equinox times in September and into the fall, know that we're going to be working on balancing our divine masculine and our divine feminine because they both came up very strong in the spread. And they both came up right across from each other, and they both came up after integrating big lessons. Now remember, the divine masculine and the divine feminine, these are just energies. Everyone has these archetypes inside of them. It does not matter if you are cis or trans, or how you present yourself in the world, or your sexual orientation. These are energies that are at your disposal. Both the divine masculine and the divine feminine energies can be worked with by everyone, and they are inside all of us. So the equinox is going to bring about, and the whole like harvest season, it really feels like we're going to be harvesting power, right? Not power over, but levels of empowerment and ideas of empowerment and ideas of personal power within ourselves. The Tower card and everything we've gone through in the last half of the year are big shifting things. And the first half, we wrapped up some kind of a lesson or work we've been doing that has been long going. It really feels like 2023, we are ending one onion layer peel and starting a new peel of that onion, like a real big shift and a real big transition and a real big switch of what lessons and what stages in our life we're working at. Okay, the last card we have sitting in the December area is the Six of Arrows, one of my favorite cards. And I'm going to give you the message behind it. And what it is through this all, you are not alone. In the boat you are riding, even though it is dark and on the river Styx, there is a boatman with you all the time. Your divine helpers are with you. Your guides are with you. You are not alone in this journey. And we will all make sure you are never steered off course. And I'm going to leave your reading there. So big year. Come back as much as you like to review this as you go through this beautiful 2023. Sorry it's a bit late. Sorry it's mid-January, but my energy has just been, so it took me a bit to do this. Brightest blessings to you all. Please subscribe. Hit that button, because I'm going to be putting out a reading every single month for you. There's also companion lessons to the tarot lessons I give on my podcast. I do a lot over there on the podcast. Go check it out. It is the Witching Half Hour or So. You can also see everything else I'm doing and book a reading with me over on my website, which is jodiannpsychicmedium.com. Bye, guys.